And good evening and welcome. I'm Debbie Georgatos. Thanks so very much for tuning in to America Can We Talk. For tonight's First Five, I want to start by saying, Greg, if you've got this, I don't have any sound on my microphones, and so I'm not sure getting sound off to Facebook Live. So hopefully we got sound tuned corrected over there in the booth. Debbie Georgatos and America Can We Talk. So let me just start with this story. Our First Five tonight, I always hit on a top story of the week. I'm not going to talk about how Mueller, again, found some other reason to add an additional indictment, additional charge against Paul Manafort. Yes, he did, and maybe there's validity to it, but this is, again, has absolutely nothing at all to do with President Trump, with the Russian. Actually, I'm Greg. I'm going to tell you quickly, there's no sound on Facebook Live. Okay, so if we've got to hit a button in there if we can. So anyway, going forward on this, I want to be sure we get the story straight on Mueller. This indictment of Manafort had nothing at all to do with the alleged non-collusion between Donald Trump and the Russians, which apparently was alleged and never happened. Having said that, I do want to talk about something. I want to give some great credit to Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who I have criticized more than once on this show about letting we got sound on Facebook Live, I'm going to guess. Yes. Okay. This incredible time, and President Trump began off serving in January 2017, and all this time he's been pretty much without a functional Attorney General. He has been, when Jeff Sessions recused himself from the Russian investigation and the appointment of Robert Mueller came along, and honest to goodness, this has held up this administration in countless ways. And I've criticized Jeff Sessions. He should have, if he had to recuse himself, given the immensity and the complexity of the investigation, he should have stepped down. Having said that, he did some great things this week, and I want to give credit. The Department of Justice actually brought an indictment against a true leaker. An important development. As you probably noticed, this entire Mueller investigation has been just riddled with leaks, always to the detriment of President Trump, always to the detriment of his team. And finally, in what was apparently a great investigation by the FBI, there was a charge made, an indictment brought against someone named James Wolfe. He was a 30-year veteran staffer of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he wasn't just a low-life staffer. By the time he retired, he was the Senate Intelligence Committee Security Director. Access to tons of stuff. He was, I think, 57 when he retired. He's 57 now. He was involved in a 3-year romantic relationship with a woman about 30 years his junior. She was an intern, like 22, when she started this affair with him. She's working her way up through various news sources and ends up finally, she's at the New York Times. So this young woman, and I mean young woman, 30 years younger than James Wolfe, which isn't a crime, but, 3-year relationship, these two engaged in multiple leaks, having the James Wolfe, employed by the Senate Intelligence Committee, feeding her stories, and then and there was on various days of extreme importance of the stories unfolding about Donald Trump. It was like 89 text messages in one day. Okay, I've been married to my husband 33 years, and we might text 4 times a day at the most. I mean, this is one day, 89 texts back and forth. And obviously, they're planning things, what they were doing. So this gentleman, and I use that term loosely, was feeding stories always, as I point out, always anti-Trump, always to make the Trump team look bad. And also in this indictment, there are descriptions of other people involved who were also the recipients of leaks by this guy. And it appears you can, from the activity described, the speculation is the other people involved in receiving these leaks include reporter number 1, likely Manu Raju of CNN, number 2, this girlfriend of his, Ali Watkins of the New York Times, number 3, likely Mariana Sotomayor of NBC, and number 4, Brian Ross of ABC. All of them are accused, or they are described in the indictment as having also received information from this guy. And I want to hit just this point because this is a short segment of the show, but, there is a mystique around reporters that they have an absolute right to privacy. They never have to reveal their sources. They never have to answer questions. They are, if you just ask them, above the law. That's how they see it. So there's a great piece by Andrew McCarthy. It's up at our website, americacanwetalk.org, called Leak Investigations, Journalists and Double Standards. He makes a stellar point, which is this. The media always thinks, I don't have to reveal my sources. This entire just undermining of President Trump has been filled with stories in left-wing media, New York Times, Washington Post, undisclosed sources, unnamed sources, people high up in the administration, undisclosed sources. And the media always acts like they don't have to answer any questions. But actually, there is not any such thing. There is no privilege that protects them entirely from having to divulge their sources. There is, on the other hand, the same media doing this kind of reporting sources thinks that Trump should sit down with Mueller and answer questions. Like they have more of a right to protect information, keep it private, and their high-fluting job as reporters than Donald Trump does as president of this country. They're so wrong. I'm Debbie Georgatos. This is America Can We Talk? We come back. We're going to talk about G7 and the tariffs. Come right back.